Yeah, so come on in, come on in, come on in. Let's see what we're talking about here. So, anywho, I wanted to talk about you have permission to change your mind. And you may not have seen it, but on my community wall, and also if you're not on my email list, you may not have been made aware. However, I made a big, bold move and I announced that I'm leaving the coaching industry. So, if you followed me for a while, I've been in the coaching industry for since 2016, 2017. Go back inside. Since 2016, 2017. And over the last 2 years, I have been toying around with the decision on whether or not it was time for me to actually leave the coaching space. And so, when I made the announcement, I made sure that I put the little caveat in there, if you will, and I let people know, a this is not a decision based on the economy. This is not a decision based on, me trying to get in a quick profit injection and then come back and say, psych, I changed my mind, right? And it's not about burnout or any of those things. However, over the past 2 years, I have been feeling that it was time for me to shift out of the coaching space, right? And one of the things that I did know that I'm supposed to be doing more of is speaking. So I was very aware of that. But outside of that, wasn't really sure where to pivot or to. And so, of course, you stay in your comfort zone. You stay in the place where things are working. You stay in the place where things are comfortable. And that's what I did. However, the more and more I began to promote or put offers out there and things like that, the more disconnected I felt. I felt very disconnected. And I've changed lanes and niches, if you will, still in the coaching space, but I've changed niches, I've changed offers, I've toyed around with quite a few things. And I landed on something that I found to be very successful, which was Market Like a Mogul and Next Level Business Academy. And, I was at a place where I guess you would say I should have been like, yeah, this is the thing you continue doing, because I reached that level of success that people were just, most people were just like, yeah, this is it. You hit it. You need to continue in this space. However, the more and more I pushed, the more disconnected I felt. And so when I put out the message this time, at first, when I first started talking to people about it, they were like, oh, you may be experiencing burnout. Oh, it's just a tough season right now, tough time. You may be going through some things emotionally. Maybe you just need something new. You're very great at this and all of those things. Like, you're really, really great at this. So I don't think you should, walk away. And I listened to that advice for a while and I continued to try to push and put things out there. And so then I had what I would tell you to have is I had a moment where I sat with myself and I said, I'm the only person that has to look back at me in the mirror every day. I'm the only person that has to go to bed with me every night, other than my husband. You know, I said, I'm the only person that has to live with the decision. So why am I seeking outside sources? Now, I do believe in mentorship. I believe in trusted counsel and things like that. However, there comes a time where you really, truly have to be able to trust what God says and what you are believing is best for you. And so I sat with myself. I sat in prayer, fasted. I done all of the things, and I knew that in that moment, if I didn't learn to trust myself and truly depend on what God was saying, that I would be allowing someone else's blueprint to be the guiding force for my life. And so I made a decision that I was going to change directions and go in the direction in which I believe God was leading me to, no matter what anyone else said, even if things did not pan out, or even if things did not yield any quick results or anything for me, then I was going to make that decision because it was something I needed to do. Because one of the things that happened to me over the journey, and I'm being very transparent because I don't think enough people talk about this, but one of the things that happened to me over the journey of building my business is that I began to trust other people's voices more than I trusted my own. And so I had to go through a period of detoxing from trusting everyone else's voice more than I trusted my own. And so when I made this decision to pivot, I decided that whatever came after it, whatever consequences, whatever it was, that I was going to be, that I am perfectly okay with that, right? And so, stop. And so what I want to say to you today is that you have the power to change your mind, right? I think that that we live in a society or live in a world where we feel like once we make a decision that that's it, that's final. However, there are times when you need to change your mind because you make a decision based on where you are at that time with the information that you have, with the experience that you have. But as you evolve, as you get more experience, as you get access to more information, but most importantly, as you become more one with yourself and with God, you'll see how sometimes you went on a path that while it may have benefited you and while it may have been good while it lasted or good when you were in that space, it really is not the ultimate place where you desire to be. And that is what happened to me. So as I said, I sat with myself and I had to really silence the noise. I had to get everyone out of my ear so that I can make sure that what I was hearing was truly what God was saying and that it aligned with what I believed that God was saying and where he was taking me. And so I made a decision to change my mind. And when I say change my mind, I changed my mind about the coaching space being the permanent path for me. And I will say this, when I initially got into space and I started seeing success, I really thought that that was going to be the path. I'm like, this is the path. This is where I'm going to make, and I have generated over $1 million in the coaching space. But what I'm saying is I thought that, yep, this is my $1 million, multi-million-dollar path. This is the work that I'm going to be doing, blah, blah, blah. I thought that that was the path. And so I was excited about it. But as I said, the more I pushed and the more I did the work or was doing all of the things, the more disconnected I felt, and it just simply didn't make sense. And so I wanted to come on here to simply say this, and I'm going to wrap this up in a second. So I promise you I'm not going to stay on here long, but I want to say this to you. You have the power to change your mind. You are not stuck with the decision that you made based on a time where you made the decision with the data that you had in your hand, right? With the experience, you made that decision based on where you were at that time. But now that you have grown, evolved, now that you've seen something different, now that you have gotten to a place where what you used to actually enjoy and brought you so much excitement and you were creative and you were doing all the things, it is okay for you to change your mind. You're only stuck with a decision when that decision, and I don't even want to say stuck, because when it's something that God has given you, he'll revive the passion that you have for it, right? And he'll remind you why you started. He'll give you what you need to continue. However, there are some decisions that you made that they were good for that season, and that's okay. I want you to break yourself free from the shackles of break yourself free from the shackles of shame. And when I say that, I mean, don't allow yourself to be ashamed of making this change, worried about what people are going to say, what they're going to think, or any of those things. The more I became solid in who I am and in my identity in Christ, the less I cared about what people think. Because the reality is, there are other people who are having the same thoughts, feeling the same way, but they don't have the courage that you have to make that change. They don't have the courage that you have to make that pivot. And I refuse to allow people who have no responsibility in my life to keep me shackled to the shame of what they may think about me or the decisions that I make. Because when it's all said and done, I'm the only one that has to live with those decisions. No one else outside of my world, my house, has to live with those decisions. And so, again, you have the power to change. I'm sorry, battery went low. But again, you have the power to change your mind. Give yourself the freedom to walk away from things that no longer serve or support where God is taking you. Give yourself the freedom to walk away from things that at one point they may have brought you some excitement and joy, but they are now bringing you misery. Give yourself the freedom to walk away from things that now bring out the worst in you, even though they may used to bring out the best in you. Give yourself the freedom to walk away from things that are no longer aligned with the path that God has for your life. Give yourself the freedom. Give yourself the power to change your mind, because you can. And I'm going to leave you with this. And if you have comments, feel free to comment in the comment section. But I'm going to leave you with this. God will never let what you have or what you had be the best thing that you'll ever have when God is directing your path. I'm going to say that again, and you can type it in the comments so that way you can embed it in your memory. God will never let what you had, HAD, be the best that you'll ever have, HAVE, when God is directing your path. And because I trust Him so much with my whole life, I will pivot even when it's profitable. I will pivot even when people are telling me that I should stay in this space. I will pivot even when everyone else is going to the left, I'll go to the right. Because I am not confined by the opinions of people. I'm not confined by what people think. I'm not confined by any of those things. And I think that but all of that is simply because I'm so secure in who I am as a woman, and I'm secure in who I am in Christ, and I'm secure in who holds my future. So because of that, I don't get caught up in the regret of walking away from things. I'm not saying that it's not difficult, especially when you're successful in something. And that's what I tell people. It's easy to walk away from something when you're not successful, when it's not benefiting you. It's easy to walk away. It's challenging to walk away when things are good, when things are going great, when you are experiencing success in a way that you've never experienced it before, and you feel the need to shift and to pivot. It's easy to walk away when you're not, but when you are, that's when it's challenging. However, because of the belief that He'll never let what I had be the best that I'll ever have, I can pivot without panicking. I can walk away and not live in a state of regret. And I know that no matter what, I can always build again, and it's always going to be bigger and better than it was before. Okay? So that's all I have for y'all. Let me know in the comments which part of this resonated with you the most. And I'll be back when I have something else to say. Bye.